For months, I watched her drift further away from me. She worked late more often than not, glued her phone like it was some lifeline she couldn't let go of. Our conversation became shallow, her gaze always somewhere else, like she was standing behind a wall I couldn't scale anymore. I convinced myself it was work stress, maybe a tough project, maybe just life pressing down hard. I gave her space, gave her time, gave her trust, because that's what love asks of you. You wait, you believe, even when your gut whispers that something's off. But deep inside, I already sense a shift. Something had hollowed out between us, a space too wide to reach across. Then, one night, she sat across from me, her eyes full of tears, and told me we needed to talk. My heart sank. I braced myself for words I couldn't predict. Maybe she was going to say she felt lost or ask for time apart. But instead, she told me she was pregnant. Everything around me went still. Not because I was afraid of being a father, but because I knew without a doubt the timeline didn't add up. We hadn't been close for months. I stared at her, waiting for her to say something, anything. I asked who the father was. She didn't answer. She looked away, and the silence between us said everything. And then, finally, she confessed. She'd been having an affair with her boss. It had been going on for 6 months. He was older, married, and now that everything had unraveled, he wasn't willing to destroy his own life for her. So she stood there broken, pregnant, and somehow still clinging to the idea of us. I felt like I'd been punched in the chest. I asked her, "What now?" And her answer chilled me. She said she wanted us to raise the baby, that she still loved me, that we could rebuild. Like our love was some bandage strong enough to cover up betrayal. Like I was supposed to step in and pick up the wreckage she created with another man. She said it had been a mistake, that he meant nothing, that I was the only one she truly loved. But when I looked at her, I didn't see the woman I married anymore. I saw a stranger wearing her face. This wasn't the person who'd once promised to walk beside me forever. This was someone who'd thrown everything away and now wanted me to live with the fallout. She had made her choice. Now it was time I made mine. I didn't scream or fall apart. I just stood up, walked to the bedroom, and pulled out the divorce papers I'd already prepared. Call it foresight, call it fear, but weeks earlier, I'd had this feeling in my gut. I saw signs. So I met with a lawyer just in case. I handed her the envelope and said, "This is the path you chose." She broke down. She cried, begged, swore she'd end things with him for good, promised therapy. She even said she'd put my name on the birth certificate. That part made me laugh. Not from humor, but the kind of laugh that comes from disbelief and bitterness. I told her no. I wouldn't be raising someone else's child, especially not his, not the child of the man who helped destroy my marriage. Leaving wasn't easy, not because I still loved her, because that love died the second the truth came out, but because I had to walk away from a life I once believed in. Every shared memory, every framed photo felt fake now, so I left most of it behind. Took only the essentials, my self-respect, and whatever pieces of peace I could gather. The divorce went through quickly. She didn't contest it. I think she knew she'd already lost me long before I handed her those papers. Some of our friends judged me, whispered that I was cold, but the ones who knew the truth understood I wasn't being cruel. I was just choosing myself. Something I should have done a long time ago. Months later, I heard through the grapevine that her boss had also left his wife. But he didn't run to her. He left town, vanished. She was left behind, alone and carrying the weight of choices no one else could shoulder for her. I didn't reach out. There was no need. Some bridges don't burn. They collapse on the decay they're built on. I started over. New apartment, new job, eventually a new relationship. Trust is a hard thing now. I don't hand it over blindly anymore. But I've started trusting myself again, trusting that voice inside that speaks up when something feels wrong. That's the one thing she didn't manage to take. Sometimes people ask if I ever miss her. And honestly, I don't. I miss the idea of her. The version I thought she was. The woman I imagined beside me. But that woman never truly existed. The real one, the one who lied, who cheated, who had the nerve to ask me to raise another man's child. That woman is long gone. a ghost. And I left her behind the moment I closed the door. In the end, it wasn't just the affair. It was a deception, the emotional manipulation, the sheer disrespect. She didn't just cheat. She tried to hand me the weight of her guilt and called it love. I refused. I walked away. And in doing so, I found my freedom.